Hey family, boy, do we have something special planned for you today.
Everywhere's getting more expensive.
It has changed drastically.
You asked for it, now here it is.
Gen Z, our
Yes.
generation, we're change makers. We have this voice that we're not afraid to use.
A conversation with the pragmatic yet idealistic. You say that you're the generation who's about voice.
I think
She
it's
said
easy.
that.
She's
Right.
Jada said that.
Oh, you don't believe that?
No,
That's great. Talk about it. The ambitious yet anxious.
I've been in therapy for 3 years.
Period.
Yay!
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
I love therapy. What role does social media play in your mental health? You guessed it. Gen Z. Buckle up. How do you define purpose?
The eye roll category.
It's gonna be a great chase.
I think I can see the world from here. I think I can see the world from this dark bed. I'm gonna make the world appear, and I'm gonna see the blue skies above me, and I'm gonna touch the greenest grass, and I'm gonna feel the wind upon my skin from this air-conditioned flat, from this air-conditioned flat.
Here's the truth. Every one of you out there listening or watching is a storyteller. You all have a story to tell. But I have a quality question for you. What question are you telling yourself about yourself? Hey, good people, and welcome to the Chasing Kairos podcast, where we are all about helping one another unblock the pathway to purpose. I'm your host and proud girl dad, Nico Parham.
Hi, Daddy.
Thank you, Amaya, my sweet baby girl. Speaking of sweet baby girls, I am in the studio with, first of all, they're my friends. I'm surrounded by 3 of my friends. I consider you all friends. And outside of just mentoring you for God knows how long, training, teaching in the world of arts and entertainment, acting, you guys don't know, I don't think, how much you have impacted me over the years, right? Like, I'm so excited about this conversation because you guys spent time with me during a time where I was facing some of the the most craziest of challenges and hardships when my daughter was born, especially, and other things that you didn't even know about, right? But just your faces, your energy, your willingness to show up every single time we were together, whether in person in the studio back then or in virtual world when COVID shut us down. You guys have impacted me in such a way that I just wanted to take a moment to just say thank you before we dive into this stuff. I mean it. Thank you. And it's important that I
Right. We're 2 minutes in, girl.
2 minutes in. No, but it's
same
important
here.
because this is for me. This is a long time coming, right? This was a goal, a vision, a dream, and so to see it, come to this place. It's amazing to sit here with Gabriela Garcia
Come on.
Hi.
and Jada Taylor
Yes.
and the one and only Jordan Rice.
Absolutely.
Like, it's such a joy, truly, to have you ladies here and for us to talk about something that's urgent. It's vital. I'm always finding myself on a defensive side for you guys when it comes to my peers, and meaning I don't let them talk down or about you in the ways that they sometimes do, because I'm always pointing back like, well, you got so much to say about them, but you raised them. You raised them, right?
You can wrap up there.
Yeah.
Like, truly.
So before we actually, dive into this thing, just for those who may be sleeping under a rock out there, living under a rock, I want to take a moment to give just a quick synopsis of who Gen Zs are, right? For those who just may not know, right? They're the generation after millennials and just before Gen Alpha. Born between the late 90s and early 2010s, Generation Z spent their formative years in a digital-first world where smartphones, social media, and instant communication are just a part of your everyday lives. Does that sound right so far?
Yeah.
All right.
2010 is crazy, but okay.
It's real, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This generation has shaken up things across the cultural, social, and economic landscapes. Whether it's changing the rules of the workplace or influencing how we shop and consume, Gen Z is definitely on the ones to watch list. Are you on the ones to watch list?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And why? What makes you on that list, that special list?
I feel like Gen Z, our
Yes.
generation, we're change makers. I feel like we have this voice that we're not afraid to use. I feel like we're more outspoken.
For sure.
Yeah. And I feel like we know that this society like sometimes has a problem and we need to change that. So, yeah.
Facts. No, that's it's true. It's very true. So we're gonna dive into this, but really quickly, I want us to intentionally put on our emotional scuba gear,
Okay.
right? And first talk about possibly the most important of the subject matters that we'll deal with, right? The mental health. Happy day, family and friends. You know who you are. If not, here's how you can tell. You're a friend if you casually tune in for the chase. And that's okay. We love that. But you're family if you tune in and you subscribe to the chase. Because you know how it goes. There are little perks that comes with being family, right? So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow the chase. And if this episode impacts you in any way, form, or fashion today, please don't hesitate to pass it along to the people you say you love and you care about. All right? Why? Because that's what family does. Let's get to chasing and see you at the reunion. The mental health crisis. Now, I don't think the conversation of mental health is necessarily a new conversation. I think it's just your generation brought it to the forefront. You sparked something that I think Jada just alluded to. You guys have a voice. I came from a generation that, you know, if you're going through something mentally, shut it up, suppress it, sweep it under the rug,
Don't talk
and go on
about
out there
it.
and do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's where I came from, right? You guys are not like that. No. You guys are much. Gabby's like, no, that's actually ludicrous to even think about it that way, right? But you guys are connected to words like anxiety, depression, burnout.
It's kind of funny because at least in some aspects, Gen Z has, and as far as this country goes, we're the biggest generation now. Like there's like more Gen Zers than there are millennials.
Really?
Yeah, and now we're also the most diverse generation, at least in this country.
Yeah.
I certainly can believe that.
And it's funny, like you hearing all those words that are now more commonplace, because Gen Z has a reputation for, and they're both true, but a reputation for like not caring about labels so much.
Yeah.
But we have put labels on things that we find important, like mental health, depression, symptomatic depression, clinical depression. Like there's all these different terms that we're finally giving all these things.
Sure. So even just with that, from the ground floor foundation of this conversation, how do you even describe, how do you define mental health? What does that mean to you?
I think for me, mental health is the ability to move through my life regulated, not overstimulated, not like super high functioning or like super depressed, but like somewhere in the middle where I can interact with people in a loving way that is helpful to both them and me. I was having a conversation yesterday with my friends literally about how much you extend yourself to somebody. And I was like, overextending yourself to help someone else can be self-harm.
Absolutely.
And so finding the balance between showing up for other people and showing up for yourself, that is like peak mental health in my mind.
Absolutely. So how do you even find the balance of that? Because I'm sure there's a space where you feel selfish, right?
I've been in therapy for 3 years.
Period.
Yay!
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so
I love therapy.
trying to
Yes.
find that. Like, I remember, and it's probably from being in class with like you, really early on being like aware of like these big life questions, and also understanding, like, I remember in middle school being like, I am going to need therapy before I become a parent, before I get married, like before any of those things, to work out all of the things that I am accumulating generationally, environmentally, all this
I
other
love
stuff.
that, Jordan.
And being able to know that like at 13 was very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess some exposition. We met when I was 16, and that's 10 years ago now. And I had never been to an acting class. Yes, it was acting class, but you were asking questions about life.
Yeah.
And then, ergo, you were talking about acting just in a different way, career-wise, life-wise, than any other acting class. And this was when Atlanta was still like coming up. It was kind of self-tape, but not really.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, so having that from a very young age just made me think about, one, my art differently, but two, just how I looked at life, how I looked at my friends, and what I saw going on in school. Like, so then when it comes to mental health, that was a huge part of it
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I've never thought about like the ideas of purpose or like balance. You would talk about balance so much. And
Yeah,
like,
still working it out. Yeah.
No, yeah, but that's why like I think it's like a
Yeah.
lifelong journey. Like you asked, when do you figure that out? And I'm like, I think we're always just trying to figure that out. And in different seasons, balance looks different. In different seasons, purpose looks different. And how you navigate that and swim through it is a lot dependent on your mental health.
Absolutely. So piggybacking on what you're saying, Jordan, like, is there a pressure to find out what it is you want to do with your life? And like now,
Yes.
there's a pressure
Absolutely.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Speak on that. What-
daunting.
Daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's, for me, like living in LA, you want to be self-sufficient. You don't want to depend on your parents, but
Sure.
I'm in a very expensive city and you're trying to like chase this dream. You want to be successful,
Yeah.
but you're like, also I want to be fully independent. So it's like, sometimes you're like, wait, do I work? Do I dream chase? I
Sure.
work and dream chase? Like what?
And it's getting harder. Like you
It's
said, I mean,
getting-
that LA is its own like story, but it's
Yeah.
just, it is what is happening everywhere, just to the extreme, but everywhere is getting more expensive. The job site has changed,
Right.
like the job
Sure.
environment, how people get jobs, how long people stay at companies. It has changed drastically. We're the first generation to not do as well as our parents did when they were 30.
Right.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
And then the generation before them, they had a house by my age.
Yeah.
Right.
You add social media in there, they're like, oh, 21, just bought my multi-million dollar. You're like, what?
No, literally.
Right.
And I personally, I was, watching Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. I was like, why
Yeah.
can't I be like those kids just working? And then like
Yeah.
you see, Netflix comes about and you see the Stranger Things kids and all these kids on all these shows doing so well and constantly, right, in my pocket.
Of course. Yeah.
And you cannot help but compare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're human. Yeah.
Exactly. So speak to that a minute, because I know from my generation, the parents especially, they definitely want to know, like, what role does social media play in your mental health? I mean, because I know there can be, obviously there's the good, but there's the opposing to the good too.
So much access.
So much.
So is it too much? Is it too much? Is that
can
is
be.
that why?
It
Because
can
it's so,
be. Here's
too
the thing.
much?
I grew up. Middle school was when Instagram like started and got
Yeah.
popular for
Okay,
me.
in middle school.
Like late middle school. Yes.
Wow. And those are very impressionable years.
But I'm still very grateful that it was that late for me
Okay.
Same.
because
Copy that.
so I was growing up with social media. It wasn't like I'm a 3-year-old on Instagram at like a
Right.
dinner table, you know, but I saw I had a relationship with social media, and I learned that I needed to learn how to balance that relationship.
Yeah.
So what made you, it's beautiful that you say that, but what made you aware of that though?
There was plenty of awareness, plenty of like studies coming out of how bad it was.
Okay.
But then I would scroll on my phone, and 30 minutes in, I just feel terrible. Like I'm tired, but I've been sitting down constantly. So
Wow.
I would have to throw the phone away from me.
Yeah, no, literally.
The time
I've seen
jump.
those movies.
I like.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Like it
get it.
shocked
That's
me.
me in my bedroom. Like
Really?
I delete the app like for months on
Really?
end, delete
Yeah.
it. Because I think like when my mom and dad were growing up, like you saw the people in your community and you compared yourself to people
Exactly.
in your community. That's it. Now I compare myself to people in other countries. People who have completely different lifestyles than me. Like lifestyles I wouldn't even know were possible, which is good because
Sure.
then now that you know it's possible, you can aspire to it. But then it's
Yeah.
also like, well, how come you got this and
Right.
you're 14?
Right.
And you're
22.
14.
And I mean the generation coming up after us,
God.
Gen Alpha, they say now that a 5-year-old in America has more in common with a 5-year-old in India than they do with like an elder in their own country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of that whole thing of like the world's never been more connected but never been more
Distant. Yeah.
disconnected. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
happening and it's only getting worse, but we're also I think realizing why, and so we're trying to push against that
Does
and
it
do
scare
better.
you? Because it's so uncertain, does it scare you at all?
The social media?
The social
Well,
media of
just
it all, no.
not social media itself, but the idea of what it causes, from what you're saying, Gabby, in terms of like that disconnect from actual human presence.
That
Yeah.
does scare me.
Yes.
It does.
That scares you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about meeting people, you're going like you don't get approached. Like no one wants to have a conversation. It's like, hey, like, yeah, can I get your Instagram and DM you? What? like you're standing right here. Like,
Oh yeah.
why can't we just
Like
talk?
we literally can talk and have a conversation
It's
right
scary.
now.
It's scary.
Yeah.
As someone
Yeah.
who like likes to feel an emotional connection, and I feel like you
Sure.
gain that from conversation. It's scary to think that they rather text or like DM and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also have a bunch of friends who like prefer to be by themselves now. Like would rather be by themselves and interact on the internet, like not even just with other people, but with videos or games or whatever, instead of like going out to be with people.
Right.
And then they're like, you know, if I could be a hermit for the rest of my life, it'd be wonderful. And I'm like, no, we need people.
Right.
Like,
But don't you think that comes from actual conditioning? Like they become conditioned that way.
I think at
so
some
it's
point
easy-
they're comfortable with that.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
my
Safe.
Like I think of my own
It's safe.
sibling, and he's definitely safe for like that.
Right. So when you say safe, that triggers something for me, because if you're saying like I just feel safe, that means the opposing of that is like there's the possibility of fear. What are they fearing? What are you fearing? If I just want to stay safe, and like you said, Jordan, the friend wants to I'm fine just being a hermit right here by myself. What is the fear of the outside world like that I was accustomed to growing up? I couldn't wait to come home from school and go out and play outside with my buddies and go to school the next day just to have community and the likes of that. But I feel like it's just been like balled up and thrown in the trash. It's not important.
That requires a lot of vulnerability because when you interact with other people, you can be rejected.
So the fear of
Rejection.
of the fear of being vulnerable.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
have to open up to connect.
Sure.
It's scary to put yourself out there sometimes, and you can protect yourself. If I stay right here in my room with this phone, no one can hurt me.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to give you that power.
Right.
So
And see, I think the power in social media is, in fact, when you use your voice, your life, your self-empowerment to actually show it and showcase it truthfully, not in that painted on. I'm going to put a little stroke of this color into this painting and a little bit of this, but just like, I love that part of social media where people are just like, this is me healthily.
Yeah.
This is me, and I'm choosing to show y'all this part of myself. Love it or hate it. I think that's the empowerment of it. But you're saying like there's
I'm like, who's doing that? Who's like on a massive scale, who love it or hate it? When you said love it or hate it, I'm like, no, a lot of people are like, I'm showing you this and I only want you to love it. And like, if you hate it, it's like, it causes like dysfunction within myself.
interesting.
I know there are some people that like choose to share certain things that they're going through. Like they're like, hey, I just miscarried and I'm gonna
Right.
tell this, and they're like, yeah, this is me crying in the hospital, but this is my story and maybe this will inspire someone else.
Exactly.
Olivia Munn has,
Yeah.
you know, she screened her breasts and found out she had breast cancer, went through the whole
Yeah.
treatment and everything. She has inspired a lot of women to get tested and saved so
Early.
many lives.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
it can really have a positive impact. But I think it has everything to do with intention.
Do you mean for your story to actually be impactful? Let me ask this, like when things are overwhelming for you, right? When things are on the rough side of the mountain, so to speak, how do you deal with that? Like, do you shut down? What's your natural instinct? Do you shut down? Do you reach out to someone? Do you find distractions? What does that look like?
I go completely ghost. I disappear.
Note to self: when Jada goes ghost,
Right.
I'm going
reach
through
out
it. Yeah. I'm
deeper,
going through
Coach
it.
Nico.
But do you do that as like a coping mechanism, or do you do it because you know you
Yeah,
need this time to
'cause
process?
Exactly. I feel like I can't be my natural bubbly self when I'm sad. Like,
Right.
man, I just need a moment. So I'm like, I have to get through this
Right.
before I can be any good to anyone else.
Right.
So
Right.
you won't hear from me.
So that's So you shut down and find your own. I get it. And there shouldn't be any judgment on how anyone, chooses to cope.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think coping is necessary. Like we sometimes in this culture we're taught to like, you don't have time to cope. Get back into the race. Like, no, I think that's unhealthy when you don't pause to identify like, why do I feel like this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this actually hurts and you should be okay sitting in that hurt. My thing is always just don't sit there too long.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, you have always said that,
Yes. Yeah,
and that has
yeah.
always stayed with me.
Yeah.
Because it's like how long do you want to be here? No
Yeah.
judgment to people that cope however they do, but you can tell like when your friend is going through something and they want to get out of it,
Sure.
versus when they just kind of want to sit there.
And I think the
And
good
that's
friend,
it.
the good friend knows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and the good friend's like, okay, it's been about 5 days. Let's get you out of this. Get up, put on some clothes. Let's get out of here, right? Is that because I think that's real friendship.
Yeah.
It may appear as hard love in the moment, but sometimes we need a little hard love when it comes to that circle of true friendship and community, simply because we do as a society stay so isolated now.
Yeah.
Emotionally, if nothing else, we stay emotionally isolated. The idea that you can be around a person for hours and hours in a week, only next week to find out they were going through this last Tuesday when you were with them. I think that's problematic.
I think so too.
I
That's
agree.
problematic.
Like if we're like friends or really good friends, hopefully, I only can hope that you feel safe with me to be open and vulnerable with me.
Right. I get it.
So I go to my people, but I also I need that time like
Yeah.
by myself to process.
And it's like sometimes I find myself being like both. I'm like, I know I need to get up from this place that I'm in, but I just want to sit here for
Yeah.
a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because it's comfortable. And if I get up, there's a chance that I could be back in this place again.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
So
That's when I
it's-
need the
that's
person
my-
to push me
Yeah.
off that little ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a person that I'm always looking and watching. I'm a people watcher. I learned that in drama school in New York. Like, just go out and study people, right? It's, psychology, the study of human behavior, right? And so I'm big on that, especially within my circle of life, right? And a lot of that comes from the fact that I want to be a part of impacting positively everyone around me. You know what I'm saying? But with that comes, it comes a bit of a cost because none of us are one dimensional, right? There are many sides to us. And so I'm always faced with that question of, with this person, it's different than with this person, than possibly with this person, based off of what I know they may be going through. And so I know I may have to show up differently for so and so and so and so and so. But at the end of the day, there's a version of me that I always want to wake up and let my 2 feet hit the ground running with, right? So that's what I want to ask you. What version of yourself are you looking for to show up more often now in your life? Yes, it's one of those old.
I was like, it's like being back in the studio. Wait a minute.
This is simply an extension of what we've done for
Yeah.
so many years.
They're getting a taste.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Real quick, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our social media sites, Chasing Kairos Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, all social media. We're there posting banging clips and exclusive content like what special guests we have coming on soon, because we got some coming. Give us a follow. We love you guys. Back to the episode.
I guess for me right now, it's a version of myself that likes myself
Yeah.
and loves myself.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Gabby.
I've always loved myself, but I've not always liked myself.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I've always loved myself, I've loved other people more than myself.
Right.
And so I just want that to wake
Where
up
does
every
that
morning.
struggle come from? The struggle to like, because you two can understand. Like, you're one of the most likable people on the planet, but you
Well.
struggle.
They're out there. They're out there. Definitely. Well, I thought it was from one place for so long, but now recently I've realized, it's coming from all sides, kind of.
Right.
Like there's the biological father
Yeah,
aspect and the,
Which lends to us not being one dimensional.
right. And then there's the, being Latin but not looking Latin, or at least what other people think Latin
Right.
looks like.
Right.
And then just kind of being the weird girl and not being included sometimes, younger. So, I mean, gosh, it really can. I feel like so many people get there to that same place,
Yeah.
but through so many different avenues.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. What about you, Jada? Like, what's that version of yourself that you wish would show up more every day?
I think it's the version that has strong boundaries.
Tell me more.
Oh, we're gonna get into them boundaries
Man, oh,
very
man.
soon here. Oh yes, I love it.
If I love you, if I care for you, the boundaries are gone. And it's like, that's
Period.
exhausting.
No,
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
it's like, I can't help it.
Yeah.
So I think I would just love to have the version of me with strong boundaries just show up every day.
I love
like,
it.
hey,
Yeah.
I said no. It's no, okay?
Yeah.
Tough. It's like
Yeah.
a discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that learning to be bold.
Yeah.
Right. Learning to be bold, but not in a negative or push offish way, but just
Right.
a protective way. You know what I'm saying? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. What about you, Jordan?
The version of myself that I want to come forth more right now is a me that like bets on myself 1,000 times. Like I think I'm always in my head about like doing things the right way, and I'm like, you never know until you just like do it.
Sure.
And then a few months ago, I was talking to my mom because I was going through it. And she was like, Jordan, just like enjoy your life. And I was like, oh, thank you for finally giving me the permission to like, I never even considered
it.
that.
Yeah. I love
Enjoying
it.
your
I love it.
life, which looks like doing the experiences and like taking the chance and like what fulfills me, what brings me joy. If they're all healthy, like go for it 100%.
Yeah.
And like just seeing what my life will look like if with everything I just give it all I have in that moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
I totally love that. Giving it all you have in that moment. This is a great place for us to segue to this next segment. about faith and purpose, because I think purpose has everything to do with like just that moment and giving it all in that moment. How do you define purpose?
The eye roll.
Well, that's the thing.
I love
Like,
it.
I've had 10 years with you, and I mean, this was the question you asked the first class I had with
No,
you.
literally, I was
And
like,
I'm
still don't know.
still like, there's really no one word I have for it. Well, the word is purpose. To me, calling,
Okay.
which is, it feels like something out of body
I love it.
in a sense.
Something that's
Something that's like
it's pulling you.
Like
It's-
when I saw a play for the first time when I was like 5 or 6, there was that tugging of like, I want to do
Sure.
that, I want to go there, and so
Yeah.
I felt like that was the call to do it.
Sure.
And with writing as well, that was the only other thing that called later. But yeah, it's like this
Yeah.
whole being like outside. It's like, okay, it's like a being outside of you.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, that being should be me, in me.
Right. Right.
That's what it feels like.
I get it, and I ask that question a lot, expecting kind of an answer like you're giving, because I don't think there's a one specific.
Well, right. And the older I get now,
Right.
I'm like what you said, it changes.
Yeah.
Oh, it certainly changes, right? And that's the beauty of it, because as it changes, that means you have to intentionally be walking in a space of self-discovery all the time, right?
Yeah.
I love the way my digital virtual mentor, Jay Shetty.
Love that man.
I love that man.
on, Jay
He's
Shetty.
just
Hey,
he's the
Jay, we
best.
love you.
Jay, we love you. We're coming to see your show. You're amazing, right? So I love the way he frames it, because it's so simple, and it's something that we can teach a 5-year-old to go after, right? He says basically passion plus service equals purpose. Passion, that thing that you're excited about. Service, what the world needs. And when those two meet, it unblocks
Yeah.
the pathway to your purpose. I love the idea of just sitting down, thinking about it in that simplistic way. All the passions, because that can be a little bit tricky too. I'm a very passionate person. I got so many passions. Oh my God, but I attribute that to the fact that I love life. I love life. I love people. I love finding out things about people, which forces me to find out new things about myself. And I love that. But the idea of something that you're passionate about and something that excites you, that feels very childlike to me, right? Yeah. It's very childlike. And the idea that something childlike to me, and finding a way to turn that into something that the world actually needs. Steve Jobs did it.
Right.
We love his stuff. You understand? And then realizing like, okay, how do we turn those two things intentionally into purpose, right? It's like the question of the century. You know what I mean? But I think within that journey of finding purpose, we have to focus on, I've said this forever, stay focused on the who more than the what, right? And what I mean by that is we have to become who we're called to be over the idea of doing what we were called to be. You will never be able to do more than who you are, right?
Yeah.
If you're interested in learning to do more or wanting to do more, then focus more on actually becoming, being more, right? It's like what you were saying, you were alluding to a while ago, Jada, with, when you meet people,
Yeah.
right? And that's cross-generational. That's not just a Gen Z thing. It's cross-generational. Like when you meet people, it's the first 10 seconds may be the name, where you from? Why are you here? And immediately, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? Do. What do you do?
Yeah.
No one really, shouldn't it really be more about connecting with the who a person is? Especially in the dating and relationship, which we're going to get to in part 2. But I think it's vital. I think it's very important that we pay attention more to the who of it all, because who to me speaks more to the spirit of a person.
Yeah.
Getting to know the spirit of a person and not just the what they do and all that stuff, because now we're talking about how purpose and faith actually collide and connect in this world that we want to connect in, right? So let me ask you the question that always is kind of like at the forefront of my mind once I'm getting to know a person, right? And that is, how does faith shape your purpose?
I kind of don't see a difference. I don't see a difference between the two. Well, not that. I mean, there's a clear difference in their definitions.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
Like I can't have an espresso shot without milk.
Period.
I mean, I can, but it goes down bitter.
Yeah.
And it just,
Great analogy. It goes down bitter.
Yeah.
but yeah, I see they're one and the same
Yeah.
for me.
I get it. What about you, Jordan? How does faith shape, even as we're still finding what that purpose is? But the beauty of this particular show, the chasing the kairos of it all is those moments that we run into in life that we don't realize, those relationships that we run into in life and we don't realize, oh no, those are kairos moments that are leading us closer and closer and closer to our purpose, if we're aware that that's what they are.
Yeah.
Right?
I think like faith is what I lean on when things are uncertain. Like when the things don't look like, I'm like, okay, for me, I believe in God. And I'm like, God, you told me, you gave me this
Right.
dream.
That's
It
right.
ain't looking like how you said it was going to look.
Right.
And so then, but it's a faith walk. It's like, but I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up in service of the purpose. And like, while I'm waiting, if I'm acting like a waiter serves. A waiter is very attentive. A waiter is like, are you good? I'm checking in. And so I'm coming in with this attention, like as I'm in the season of waiting for whatever the purpose is, but I know it's going to be there. So I'm going to be there with my utmost attention. I'm going to be accommodating. And that's only faith. Like if I didn't have faith, then I would have stopped acting back when I was like 11.
Sure.
Like when you
Sure.
got the first rejection or you got the second no. And knowing that like those are necessary no's, and it's necessary for you to get to where you're supposed to be. Like every block is a blessing. Every rejection is protection. Like so that when you have the hindsight, that's 2020, you're like, oh, thank God I didn't have this relationship, or thank God this thing didn't work out, because if I was busy doing this, then I wouldn't have seen what I was supposed to reach.
That part.
You know?
That part. I love that. I love that. What do you think God is trying to tell your generation in particular?
That we need each other. Like, I don't think that's, and I see a disparity with that between men and women. I feel like even if women don't talk about it, they're like getting together for the coffee and the lunch, and then they're taking photos for the gram. Like, it's like fun. It's like a fun thing.
That does a lot for
It
the
is-
mental.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And because I have at least two people
interesting,
I
yeah.
know I can just pick up the phone and call them about nonsense or about something about real stuff. And I will ask my guy friends, hey, like, who's that person for you? And they don't have that, or like right off the top of their heads. And that just is sad. It's sad to me.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, that's just like an overgeneralization, but I think as a whole, that we need to be truly connected
Right.
and be with each other.
I love that. I love it. What do you guys think?
I think we need more love. I mean, just love for people, love for everything, everybody. There's not enough of it
Yeah.
going around.
Right.
And it's important.
With that, do you see it in your generation in terms of like, do you see that potential of you guys actually committing to that?
Absolutely. There's moments where like, okay, it's coming out.
Right.
And there's other moments like, whoa, we're screwed. Like,
Yeah.
it's up and down.
Right.
But it's definitely there. The
I feel like
potential-
I feel like with you guys, I feel, first of all, 1,000% on what you both are saying. I feel like it's all of that until there's the slightest moment of toxicity, right? And then I feel like everything you said goes out the window.
About love, like when
Yeah,
there's
just about, with one another.
Yeah.
well, sometimes self-love, like that's important too.
I was
Sure.
just about to bring that up.
Like because
Yeah.
I mean, I can engage with you, but sometimes if you are on a toxic spiral, I will become collateral damage. Like and not even intentionally. Like certain things, it's not always like malicious. Like sometimes people going through stuff can like they can bleed on you and you are out here trying to get the blood off you and then they're fine and you're like wait a minute, I got blood on me, what's going on? And so I think like
Why am I the one
why
bleeding?
am I bleeding and I was helping you?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
I think I think
That's interesting.
what sucks is our generation doesn't have conversations when that does come up.
Yeah.
Like
That's
the
true.
ghosting thing. Like we will
Not a lot of
so-
resolution.
So there's an immediate diversion is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's just like a oh, I'm just gonna, it's kind of like the quiet quitting in a job.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a quiet friend breakup. There's
Right.
a quiet breakup. We're not willing to be vulnerable and have those conversations and be uncomfortable. I wasn't for the
It's not
longest
safe.
time.
Right.
Doesn't
Yet
feel
you,
safe.
Yet you say that you're the generation who's about voice.
I think it's
She said
easy.
that.
She's right. Shada said that.
Oh, you don't believe that?
No,
that's great. Talk about it.
I think we're very
no,
individualistic.
I agree. I
I
think
said something
You are.
straight here.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you, please.
No, talk about it. So that's not for you. That's not your take on it.
I think we're good at being loud, which can be necessary. But as far as like when I think of voice, I think of intention, I think of plan. I
so
don't know
interesting.
if everyone that is loud,
Has a voice.
they have a voice. I just don't think they're using it.
They don't have something to say. You loud, but
You're
nothing to
loud, but
say.
you're not
Copy
saying
that.
much.
Yeah.
Copy that.
There's no substance there.
Yeah.
I think that helps us. I'm an OG. That helps me understand that so much better.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's not just a voice. It's like you're not using it and it's coming off. It's just a loud noise. It's not even the gift of actually an impact that should be coming out of you.
Well, when your voice
Positive
is
impact.
separate, when your voice is separated from like love, I think
Right.
like that becomes
Ugh.
really, really dangerous. Like even in like
Absolutely.
friendships, like it's important for me to be heard. Yes, it's equally important for the person that I'm talking to be heard. That comes with love and empathy. Like I think our generation is very, very good about like protesting. Like something's not right, we're going out in the street.
Yeah.
We're
Y'all
going
are
out in
there.
the street.
Y'all
We're
show up.
there.
Yes.
Y'all show up in bathrobes. Y'all show up. Y'all do not care.
On it all.
Bathrobes, house shoes, bonnets.
But, like,
Absolutely.
but it's the thing of like when there's no love there, that's when it becomes easy to discard people who don't necessarily
absolutely.
think the same way that you think or not agree with every single thing you do. You start viewing people as disposable.
Right.
So like
Right.
it's important to have a voice, but if that voice is not connected to like love and empathy,
That's
it becomes
right.
really dangerous.
I love that because at least you know when love and empathy is present, you know you're in alignment.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then you have said before to me, Jada, like assigned people, they don't leave. And
That's
that's
right.
something that I had to really like, because I would beat myself up. I'm like, why did I lose this friendship? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Why'd she go? Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
It wasn't meant to be.
We're
If they
not
were assigned by God to your life, assigned people don't leave. They
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Point blank in the period, right? I love that. I love that we're having this conversation because it sounds so, at the root of what you're saying, it still sounds very spiritual. We're talking about the very things that make up the spirit of who we are as people, love and empathy and all that. Do you feel like your generation is more or less spiritual than past generations?
I think it's different.
Yeah, I think it's more but different. I feel like there's levels to it now. Like I feel like back in the day, if you will, there's just like, yeah, Christian, God, that's it.
Right.
But I feel like now people are finding things for themselves. They're finding religion for themselves. They're finding their spirituality for themselves.
Right.
And they have their own definition of it, which I think is beautiful.
So it's redefining their journey in spirit
Yeah.
of this life.
I think there's a big focus on relationship with God or a higher being. Like I don't subscribe to the belief that like, oh, Gen Z is like spiritualists or like they don't have a desire for like something bigger than themselves.
Right.
I see a lot of people my age in both directions, like chasing after God, like
Absolutely.
chasing,
Absolutely.
wanting to feel connected. But the institution of religion may have said, this is not for you.
Right.
And so now there's a focus on how can I still have God for myself? Like, how is their
Absolutely.
relationship?
Yes.
What is, like, my great grandmother used to be like, you go to church every day and we're not seeing the evidence in it. Like, we see none of that God in you.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, how, like, no one cares that you're a Christian if we can't see the Christ in you.
That's right.
If I can't feel the love. Like, there's a joke that, like, there's no kind of love like Christian hate.
Oh my God.
which is
There's
horrible.
no kind of
Love like Christian hate. Because they're like,
Wow.
we love you, but
That's
then it's like,
unfortunate.
we love
Yeah.
you
There's
in this box.
stipulations.
We love
in
you
the
like
like
this.
parameters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that we as a generation are rejecting
We're
that.
pushing that.
Yeah.
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 We're
Yeah.
redefining it.
rejecting
I
that.
love that. I feel like, and what you said is absolutely true. It's one of the reasons I talk to Max and Caleb about we're hearing it. I'm hearing it left and right. They're asking, we have to do a show with Gen Z to talk about this thing. But it came from talking to you guys on a deeply spiritual level. I was talking to my little cousins. I was talking to strangers. And what I realized from those conversations is that you guys have created like your own church,
Yeah.
your own communities to talk about, like what you're saying, Jordan, where you're talking about, it's more about relationship with God opposed to the institutionalization of walking in, sitting in the pews every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I get it. And I see it like you guys just, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. You feel closer in this other way that you've kind of created for yourself, which is very interesting because the way we see and view church now, going into churches every Sunday, and I go to church, you know, I'm not by no means anti that. I'm actually helping to plant a church here in Atlanta right now. Shout out Kendrick Hope Church. But I do get the understanding of where you guys come from, because what I'm doing in terms of planting the church and we're gonna be in a building and we're gonna meet and all that, we look at that as the modern church or whatever. But I think the real church is exactly what you guys are explaining, how it was when Jesus walked the earth, you know, hanging out with the homeboys and homegirls in somebody's house, in somebody's crib over there, along the journey to this city, hanging out. We're about to have church. There's no traditional institution, no traditional Ephesus that they were walking into always, right? And I think you guys have brought back an attention to what church can really be about.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says, do not forsake the assembly. It doesn't say an assembly in, like, at da-da-da address
Right.
from this hour to this hour.
Right.
And, like, wherever two or more are gathered, he's in the midst. That
Y'all
is
pull
church.
up on somebody's front lawn.
Yeah.
And like they used to. They did.
That's right.
I also believe in God. But the institution has turned so many people, especially young people, away from it. So much so that sometimes I'll switch the word God for universe, and people they'll get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
I'm hearing that a lot.
yeah, but like if I I don't go to a church regularly, but when people use like those words that are associated with the institution that has caused a lot of these people actual trauma, that's an immediate turnoff.
That's interesting.
So it's really hard to like talk about it sometimes when you're just trying to get to the root of what it is, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
But without anyone thinking anything about it. And I don't mind saying universe or God. To
So
me, they're one and the same.
interchangeably, you believe God is universe, universe is God.
One is all is one.
Yeah. Copy that.
He's so infinite. Like he can use anything to minister to anybody. And like we need people who are in the church to do that work, and we need people who are outside of the church to still reach other people. Like if you're only having community and like in that church and you don't carry it out in the world, like that's you're missing a good opportunity to like connect with people in a different way. Like something that I've seen in this industry is like a lot of people are like, you are a Christian, but you're not what my mind has already said Christianity is. Sure. And so like they start asking me questions about it, and we have a point of connection that didn't start from me just like openly evangelizing to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm not going to shove Jesus down your throat.
Right.
Like who wants that?
Right.
Not me.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. No, I get it. I think it's important to read the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta know.
I think it's important to read the room.
I mean, it goes into like when you pitch like projects and like you know who you're pitching to.
Absolutely.
You know your audience.
Yeah. Say that.
Absolutely.
Politicians do it all the time. They know
Yes.
who's in the crowd, and they rewrite the speech until they're. And it's not like manipulating or anything, but it's just you're trying to get this message across. How is this group gonna?
That's right.
Understand?
No, I totally get it. I totally get it and understand where you're coming from with that, Gabby. Like it literally is just that knowing your audience. If you're trying to impact someone, you gotta know, how am I going to actually get my heart around them?
Yeah.
So that they actually can embrace it and be like, okay, I'm good. And I think the biggest example of that will always be, no matter what your faith journey is always love. It's always love. We live in such a judgmental society, especially, with the, that little digital Uzi, shotgun.
Right.
Oh my God! You say whatever,
sure.
We just get on this thing and it's Draco. And
absolutely.
it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But imagine
It's so reactionary.
imagine if that we are. But imagine if that was that same energy was love.
Yeah.
Right? If that same energy was love, and since we're talking about love, I usually ask this question last, but I just have to ask it now because we're here. When do you feel closest to God?
Oh. Closest?
Closest. I joked a couple of episodes back. I joked with our guest, I feel closer to God when I'm resting, when I'm just when it's time to rest and my mind is shut off and sleep. And that's part of it. But for me, I definitely realize I feel closest to God when I'm creating. When I'm in create mode, I feel closest to God, and it makes me feel special and happy and proud, because that was always my first intro to the elements and characteristics of God, because it says in the beginning God created.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, he's a creator. At 10 years old, I'm like, I got that. I love to create. You understand? So I felt that sense of that even as a child. Like there's something special for me. My connection with God is special because I'm a creator. I love to create things. And the Bible says that's the first thing we learn about it. Right? So for you, when is that? When do you feel closest to God? Being the creatives that you are.
I think I feel closest to God when my faith is wavering, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. Because there's that moment of guilt that comes through, and it's like, oh man, it's wavering. Like, no, that's bad. He's mad at me. Like, I can't do that.
And he's so not. Go
yeah. And then for some reason, I feel his love like 10 times more after the fact.
Yeah.
So I think in that
there.
moment, it's like the rainbow after the rain. It's like, we're going through this, me and him. It's just me and him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he's mad at me. And then it comes through, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
I love that.
When I feel close.
I love that. What about you, Jordan?
Similarly but different. Like when I'm in the throes and the vicissitudes of life, as the saints would say, like, and I experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. Like maybe like a few months ago, I was traveling because I was on tour, and I was in my apartment away from like all my family, all my village, and I was crying. And I got to a point where I was like, God, I don't understand why you would let this happen, but you are sovereign, but you are faithful. And I'm crying, and I'm like, I'm so mad at you, but you are faithful. So I know you're going to make it. And I was just like, the fact that I felt comfortable enough and safe enough to like be like, I'm mad and I'm giving it all to you still. Like I was proud of myself and my little Christian journey. I said, that's a good, like, instead of like turning away, and like he carried me through that. And then I was like, this is why, like, you can handle all of it, all of the joy and all of the pain and the frustration, and knowing that like when I'm crying, you're crying too. When I'm mad, like you you like validate it, and then so that's when I feel closest.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, in the best of times and in the worst of times. I feel like I'm in this house, and when I'm on the roof, I feel him because he's above. And then when I'm in the basement, I feel him because he's down below. I feel, so when I'm high on life, I feel him. When I'm in rock bottom's basement, I feel them. But then I don't know, because I see God in like every little thing. I got my favorite drink at my coffee shop. There's God. I see God in a chai latte. I see God in my best friend when we've hung out all day and all night. In saying hello and goodbye to my family every day. Like, so closest that's tough for me. But I guess,
Because you see things like love is everywhere.
That's
I
beautiful.
see God
That's amazing.
everywhere.
Yeah.
The universe, literally everywhere, encompassing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I when I am talking to God the most, I think, is when I'm really high on life or really down.
I love that. Love definitely is that. It's that bridge. It's that bridge, I believe, with every fiber in me. It's that bridge to purpose. Like really get into that place of understanding, like, why am I here? I know love is involved in there somewhere, right? Why am I here? Everything that I'm hearing you ladies say, like it speaks to purpose. Even if you're struggling with the idea of like, I'm still trying to figure mine out and, navigate through this moment of Kairos and that moment of Kairos to find that thing. But that middle ground, that place that you meet it at, every opportunity you find love there. Yes, take it, pocket it. Along the journey more, love, take it and pocket. That's why we have to be careful with the relationships that we go through. And, we once upon a time just loved this person, and all of a sudden now I can't stand this person. But you got to focus on the love that not only that you gained from that experience, but the love that you gave. Because love is not really love unless you are giving it away, right? Like love, I feel like is the key to all successes. It is the key to all successes, especially in a culture of how we even describe, success. Right. Back to my mentor. He doesn't know he's my mentor, but Jay Shetty, you are my mentor. But I love the way that Jay describes what success is, right? And he says success is when you've discovered God's purpose for your life, you develop that purpose, and then you deploy yourself for that purpose, right? I think that's something that we need to think more about in this culture, because we get stuck in the rut of, well, success is if you got the homes, the cars, the trips, this perfect look of life and money and all those things, that's success. Well, you can be born into that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're still left with the one big life question. What is my purpose? You got all this stuff, but still, what is my purpose, right? That's something I want us to really, really think about, move with in every area of our lives. We're going to get into, in this next part 2 of this conversation, we're going to get into career and money. We're going to get into the also important conversation of relationships and dating with the Gen Zers. And we're certainly going to talk about family, right? But in all of that, I want us to really, really hone in on the purpose that served in all of those spaces, right? I really want us to hone in on that. Ladies, this has been so much fun. But the fun is not over, because we're coming back with part 2 on this thing, and we're going to discuss some amazing, amazing topics that I've already mentioned. So please be back, join us, show up. But before you go, as always, remember there's something I want you to know. You matter, and you have so much to offer this world. So keep chasing your kairos, because soon it's going to be chasing you.